Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the BAM Sports Show. It is Friday, August 26th. I'm your host, Blake. I'm joined, as always, tonight with the great group of people. Ryan, how are you, my dude?
Hello. I'm doing well.
Awesome. I don't know if he's lagging or if I'm lagging. Probably me.
Probably
We're also
you.
joined with the dude down in Jacksonville, Rick. What's up, my guy?
What is going on?
And then the Dan, the man that looks like he's sitting in a fucking cave. What's up, dude?
Heyo. Yeah. I guess could turn a little lights here and there.
No, you're good.
But you look like you're in a darker place there, Blake. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shit, you're right. My camera's not on. There we go. That's better.
I don't have a cool Rick background. I do in my lounge. I should start going in there. It's just I don't know if the internet works as good in there. I'm closer to
luckily, like our router is directly. Oh, and we lost Blake there for a second.
No, Blake.
Our internet router is plugged directly into my laptop here in my office. So,
Rick, you're the de facto host now that Blake's gone.
Ha!
Well, so much power.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
it says that Ryan is the host.
Uh-oh.
Oh, all right.
Oh, man.
Oh, there you go, Ryan.
All
Want to
right.
talk shit about Blake
The
now?
show is yours, buddy.
Yeah, that asshole. Jeez. A lot of stuff happened. There he is. He's back. Maybe.
This stream brought to you by Disney Plus.
She was watching her Disney show, huh? So
I gotta turn off my Wi-Fi for my
the
phone.
story of the week in the NFL, Matt Ariza, is that how you say it? The punter, the kick guy with the football in the foot.
Yeah, fucking scumbag, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accused in a lawsuit Thursday of, I'm not gonna say it, but assault with multiple people on one person, because this is YouTube and I don't want,
Starts with an R.
Yeah. A 17-year-old girl when he was at San Diego State last year. Did not play tonight, obviously. I mean,
He traveled with a team, though.
He did.
Yeah, even that's surprising.
Yeah, I know.
So a precedent would say that he's going to be suspended for 11 games.
6 probably, if we're honest.
I
Guys,
mean,
it's
honestly, I bet you that they throw the book at him. It's not like with Deshaun. At least you have some star power.
Yeah.
And some publicity. Like
No one
he's
cares
a
about
rookie-
punters.
Yeah, and he's a rookie punter at that.
Yeah.
So
A hell of
I
a
bet they
leg.
throw the book at him.
Terrible
Well,
human.
you're talking a minor, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
You
Yeah,
gotta think like
exactly.
you're talking a minor.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Not that
And it
not
was,
that that's acceptable against for any against
Age.
any age.
right,
but
right. No, and it was an assault. As far as I understand, it wasn't a consent. Not that it would
a
be necessarily-
non-consensual relational
Event.
event.
Yes, and not it was not. He did not act alone. Like this was him.
No,
with
he had
multiple other
partners.
people.
A squad with him. Gross.
Exactly.
Anyway.
now that I think about it, okay, so I'm kind of impressed that Deshaun Watson had multiple people to lick his butthole. Like, think about that. Like, think about that.
When you have enough... no, I won't say that. I don't know if I want to touch this one.
His butthole?
No, man, just
So tonight
just take
we
care
are
of it,
joined-
guys.
Don't forget tonight we're
just to-
joined with Brandon Sanders. That'll be a fun one. I can't wait to hear what he's got. He's got that college fantasy football project going on. I know I've got 2 drafts this weekend. Ryan, I know you have a
Yeah.
draft, and I know Rick and Dan, you have a draft, and it looks like Brandon's joining us now. Brandon, what's up, my man?
Going on, guys? Can you hear me all right?
Killer
Hey.
Yes,
beard.
sir.
Whoa.
What's up, dude?
Let's take a look at those action figures again. What do you all got there?
I got some AEW on the top, got some WWE, got some Legends on the bottom. Got my belts there, got my Broncos in the back, Tar Heels.
Oh,
This is the man cave, baby.
That's
cool.
awesome.
Welcome
That's awesome.
to the show.
Thanks, guys.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So I saw a little bit on Twitter and on your page. Tell us what is the project? What is it, my friend?
Sure. So I'm a college fantasy football analyst, I guess. I use the term analyst lightly. I mean, I'm just there to help people. I got good at and thought I could help others. So I work for a company called Campus to Canton. It's a cool it's a newer one where you're actually learning how to play. You're still playing dynasty football. You're still playing fantasy football, but you're also playing at the college level too. So it's the best of both worlds where you're actually playing college fantasy football. And as those guys, if you recruit them well and kind of scout them, they get drafted to the NFL. Well, they move to your NFL roster. So then you have them for a longer period of time. And then the cycle competes. Well, for me, I played, college fantasy football here for a while. So I help a lot of people do that type of route. So we recently are expanding. And so I've done a lot of DFS, especially in college and in some NFL and stuff like that. So we did the Bet on C2C podcast. That is the brand new podcast that we're launching. So we're helping people with stuff like FanDuel and DraftKings. We're doing stuff like DK Sportsbook. We're looking at prize picks and picking out the props. We specialize in fantasy points, but we also do like rushing yards, passing yards, and things like that. So if you're huge on, and I noticed the Cincinnati sweatshirt, so I'm in good company then. So for those that love college football, definitely check out the website campuscan.com, but also check out the podcast, especially if you just want some extra cash on the side, or hey, maybe you want to make it a full-time job where you just bet. You can do that too. But that's where we're there to help out people. So we're really excited.
And at CFF University,
yes,
on the tweeters.
Yes, thank you, sir, for that plug. I appreciate you.
Yep.
So this is like, I never really. I guess I assumed that there would be like fantasy football for college, but but this whole thing is kind of new to me.
You're good.
You mentioned that you have the college leagues. So you have players that move up to the NFL. So does that mean you have two teams? You have an NFL team and a college team. And do they accumulate points, or are they just completely different leagues? Like, hey, this is my 12 team with my other buddies with my pro league, and this is my 12 I have with my other league? Or do you like add the points together typically in that sort of league?
Sure. Great questions. So you guys are probably aware of Debbie format, which is, made famous by Mr. Scott Fish. So where, you're scouting players, but they really just sit on a taxi squad. Well, this format, you are accumulating points. So this is legit where you're, merging college fantasy football and you're merging NFL at the same time. So you're constantly doing it. Yes. You could do both on Fantrax, which is probably the easier route, but you can't use like Sleeper and Fantrax if you want to right now. College football, we're working on it as people in the industry trying to get it past just Fantrax. I know Sleeper's interested. Yahoo did it for like a season, but they really only did like Power 5. They didn't really do all the G5 that we really love. We do all 131 teams, so no team goes at least unnoticed. Wow. So it's deep. So
waivers got to be
really
nuts
cool.
then.
Yeah, that's waivers will win you leagues. There's guys like like a Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky or Jared Stearns who shocked the world and made all these records, and they win people literally off of waiver week 1 pickup, and boom, you have the best NCAA quarterback in the entire league throwing points, because no one's going to really recognize a team like Western Kentucky out of the blue. They're going to focus on teams like Michigan. Ohio State's the big one people love. Yes, Clemson. Clemson was very disappointing. We could talk about that after here in a little bit, but there's teams like the big ones. Of course, UNC, we get some spotlight because of basketball, but guys like Sam Howell that got drafted, and Trubisky, who's got a shot there in Pittsburgh, we're still noticed, where teams like now Cincinnati has got some respect to their name because they actually brung the G5 to the playoffs. Now they're going P5. So there's teams that are just coming up, but they should be recognized because there's really high scoring offensive systems, and that's what you're ultimately looking for in fantasy football, especially in college. So
hear that, boys? Put some respect on the name.
I mean,
I will lend some credit. You had brought up Sleeper as a fantasy platform. I had gotten put onto Sleeper, or rather became pretty fond of Sleeper. I know you've done some work with the Fantasy Footballers podcast, and I hear those guys talk about it a lot. And so I can definitely lend credence. I absolutely love their show.
Yeah.
But no, Sleeper is a solid platform. Been thinking for a while about my main league, the one that Blake and I are in, kind of turning that into a dynasty, and Danny as well. Yeah. We're all three in a league together.
Nice.
But thought about switching over to a dynasty on Sleeper next year.
You should.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
Yes.
You really should. Sleeper's awesome. And Sleeper, even before they were like an actual like full league platform, they were the like top when it came to news. Like if I found out someone went down with injury, like way before, like literally like 20 minutes before ESPN or anybody other picked it up, because they just, I don't know how they do it. They just might have beat writers, or they just have people they know, but they were the first to market with any alert news. So like people would have it just so I can get to the waiver wires before the rest of my league mates, because, first come, first serve, right? Especially when there's no, once your bids are over, you have that free period before the game start. Like you want to smash it. So for me, like Sleeper got me like when Nick Chubb started, when he didn't at first, but then he did for the Browns. I was able to pick up Nick Chubb, won the championship because the dude just went off, and this is before the Kareem Hunt, era kind of took place. So, things like that is awesome. But now Sleeper is a full functioning platform, and they are looking to expand to the college level. They're even looking at possible XFL, USFL. So
I would love that.
Interesting stuff.
I was just about to ask that.
Okay.
I was just about to ask that.
There we go. XFL. There we go. I'm excited for XFL, man. If anyone's going to be able to bring that back, that's The Rock. You know what I'm saying? Dwayne Johnson's just and if he touches his gold. So
yeah, absolutely. He has what I believe is a no pun intended, rock solid team around him.
Stop it.
There's a lot of we've talked about it in previous episodes, but obviously he has a lot of name brand recognition. But even outside of that, and I think that the passion for him, giving players that otherwise didn't get a shot, to kind of show their worth and whatnot, from him having kind of going through his non-NFL/CFL journey. But his ex-wife / business partner, Danny Garcia, is essentially kind of the person working behind the works that made him an A-list superstar to begin with, and is just an absolute marketing Goliath. Then you have Jerry Cardinale, who is the CEO and founder of the Redbird Capital Group, who works with, I think, the Dallas Cowboys and a bunch of different like hospitality, I don't want to say businesses, but, venues, within different MLB and NFL stadiums and whatnot. So I think that it's going to be awesome. And I love the cities that they added, especially San Antonio. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that they could easily push Seattle and St. Louis, if not flat out beat them, as being the XFL's crown jewel in terms of, fan bases and whatnot.
Yeah, I think they're doing smart by getting to markets. I mean, St. Louis is, they needed a team. They had a stadium just sitting there for the picking. And, at least the XFL in 2020 kind of did that. Of course, a new DC team, because no one really wanted to watch what was called the Washington football team, now the Commanders. No one wants to see that team. So they really wanted to take on the Defenders. And then you have, markets like, Texas, San Antonio needs a team. There's other ones more than just Dallas and Houston that are out there. So
sure.
California needs more representation other than that just one block of LA and, stuff like that. Oakland's probably needing a new team at this point. So, things like that, that's where they can kind of corner that market. And with Dwayne, with The Rock, he's able to kind of partnership with the NFL to where he's more of almost like a minor league, almost like the NFL Europe that we kind of missed like back in the day, where you can get guys like a Jake Delhomme or something like that, where you can actually, get them in there, like a guy like PJ Walker, who's still a decent backup there at Carolina. And, there's decent players that are there. Slaughter, who's got a shot to maybe make the team. I don't know if he got released or not, but there's guys from the USFL and XFL that are making a name for himself. And, The Rock's just making it easier, where it's like, you start here at the XFL, you get noticed, we'll send you to the NFL. So, I mean, it's a good partnership for sure.
Yeah, I saw. So I looked into, and I'm sure I'm butchering this just a little bit, but I did look into the partnership that the XFL and NFL kind of have in place now. And essentially, I'm sure I'm just a little bit off here, but if I remember correctly, if like a player doesn't get drafted, doesn't get picked up on waivers or, whatever the case may be, like, just doesn't end up getting to see any field time or even a practice field with an NFL team during the year, the deal is they automatically get a contract to play in the spring with the XFL. And then, and the XFL, will pay to put him up in housing and the whole 9 yards. And then, obviously they'll get a chance to prove themselves. So the XFL is going to kind of be like a pseudo G League for the NFL,
essentially,
on
like
an
NBA.
official basis. So I think that's awesome. And I think, just like you said, between that, all the other things that we mentioned before, as far as The Rock and his team goes, having that partnership with the NFL and having that announced relatively early on. I remember that, kind of being a thing. They had a little plug for it during the Super Bowl as well. So I think that it's going to be an absolute smashing success. I mean, nobody's, under any type of illusion that the XFL is eventually going to, roll over the NFL. But I think that they may have finally cracked the code on how to make spring football work.
Yeah, I think if they do it like this, it's just a good gateway. I hope USFL goes on board instead of just trying to be competition. I mean, like, it was fun, but people just want football year round. I mean, in the summertime, I watch the CFL. That's how much of a diehard I am. I'm looking for kids that were in college, like a Jamie Newman, who was at Wake Forest, transferred to Georgia. Of course, that was during the COVID year, so he didn't ever get to prove his worth. So now he's getting a shot, almost. He might even become the starter there at Hamilton. I mean, he's doing a decent job as like the second string quarterback. So I mean, guys that I saw destroy in college and put up these gaudy like 25 fantasy points per game, getting a shot in the CFL where they have a longer end zone, bigger field, 110 yards, the different metric system. It's insane. So I mean, it's crazy. But I'm a DJ, like, I cover 131 teams trying to find, the best in the country to score points for. So I mean, that's just me. But but that it is what it is,
it's
right?
a monumental task.
It is, but football is life.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So I know you guys got some college football questions for me. Blow me up with some stuff.
So real quick, before we get into that, I see Broncos stuff on the wall. Are you a Broncos fan?
I am. I am a Denver fan. I'm here in North Carolina.
Congratulations on Danger Us. Congratulations.
He's unlimited.
We got two guys that are Seahawks fans. So go ahead and take 30 seconds and talk some shit to these two losers.
I'm just going to say, you saw Drew Lock in the preseason. But, you got Noah Fant. I love Noah Fant. I miss him. Albert O is not that guy, but I think, our rookie, Dulcich, he'll be okay.
Albert O believer right here, if only because he is from my town. So
he did go to a good university. He did. I mean, they brought him in with Drew, and then they sent Drew Packin. So it's like, the Missouri pairing, man. What's up with that? But we'll talk about a guy from Missouri here in a minute. There's a freshman. He'll destroy, and he'll probably lead the country probably in freshman stuff. So we'll talk about that. But overall, I'm saying, Seahawks, I mean, it was a matter of time. I think it's time for them to rebuild, get back, the Legion of Boom or whatever they had, build them stuff. I still have nightmares about that Super Bowl where they smashed us. And, Peyton just sat there and distraught and on the phone talking to the head coach. It looks like he was calling his mom because he was had enough. Like, I was drunk by halftime. Like, I'd had to get a ride home. It was pretty bad. So needs to say I still remember those times. So, for me, I'm like, oh, God, Russell Wilson's really good. He is he's one of those quarterbacks that you could play for a decade, and he's got you, So I'm glad to have a confident quarterback. Nothing against Drew Lock. He just needs more time and development. I think Geno will probably be the better play there. At least you have DK. It'll be a competitive game. Don't get me wrong. There's a revenge factor there. So Russ is going to go, he's going to go ham in the game one, but at the same time, you shouldn't be too bad off. I mean, Seattle can't win it every single year. I mean, the playoffs every single, year. So give them a couple years. They'll be back. I mean, they have the great receivers that they can lock them in. Kenneth Walker, the third, almost a Heisman winner up until like 3 weeks ago. So that dude's going to go ham. They got the tools. They just need a new guy to lead the pack. And there's two really good quarterbacks that we'll talk about that if they get first overall pick, that could fix that real quick. So, I don't think they're out of the picture for only 1 or 2 years. So, but I still think Denver will get our revenge come game one. So
I did actually have a question about quarterbacks just over the last 2 years. So the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields draft, and then this last year's draft. I know Howell for a while there, even before last year's draft, was the presumptive 1 overall, or at least 1A quarterback for this past year's class, and then we all know he tanked.
Yes.
But out of that conglomerate of quarterbacks, which one, I guess, throughout the Devy process, and then, you know, now or in the future has had the best Devy upbringing, I guess, and then who do you think is going to have the best career out of all of them?
Talking about currently in the NFL?
Desmond Ritter. What the hell? I told you.
Shut up.
So you're talking about this year's class?
This year and last year.
Okay.
Because it's just, I felt like those 2 years were, you know, unusually deep with dudes that could be legitimate starters.
So
Yeah.
Ryan and I are Bears fans, so he's really just wanting to kind of get your feel on Justin Fields and that whole class.
I got you.
And that's his way of asking without coming out and asking.
No, you're good.
I am
honestly,
apparently not high enough.
No, Trevor Lawrence just needs. He needs luckily he's
Haircut.
got a decent quarterback. Maybe he's
No,
sunshine.
I'm just
It is what
kidding.
it is, right? They call him sunshine for a reason. But no, T-Law is he's actually really, really talented quarterback. He just needs the right pieces, the right coach, more time. Just look at it like Peyton had a bad rookie year. Andrew Luck didn't really necessarily set the world on fire his first year, but came on strong in the second. This is what you could probably expect from Trevor Lawrence. He's of the same pedigree. Justin Fields is just barely a tier below. I'm just scared for him because of the offensive line. The Bears are not putting a lot of pieces around him to make him successful. He's in desperate need. I love Darnell Mooney. He's probably one of my favorite, mid-round guys that I like to take as far as in fantasy this year. I think he's a solid pickup, just like I like Allen Robinson. No offense, but Allen Robinson to the Rams is much more intriguing to me this year, to fill that Robert Woods role since he went to Tennessee. So I still think Justin Fields is capable. They just really need to protect Justin Fields, let him do his thing, and let him actually move the plays out because he can really get it done on his feet. He can extend the plays. When he transferred, and went actually to Ohio State, you saw what he was capable of, and Ryan Day let him unlock. Just like, they just need a coach and a system to let him unlock his potential because Fields can get it done. So I don't hate on either one of those two. I am very skeptical of Kenny Pickett. I think he's doing everything right. I think mentally, because Kenny Pickett has had almost 5 years in the NCAA that he has chance to develop. And from what I hear from out of Steelers camp is that he's checking all the boxes, and Mitch Trubisky has a very short leash. So it's just one of those
Mitch has
things
looked decent.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Like I said, when Mitch gets put in the right situation, he can actually do well too. It's kind of a similar situation. I mean, he did okay. And it's a different level from NCAA to NFL just because it's so much faster paced and faster thinking when it comes to the NFL. But, I still think that Fields and T-Law is good. Kenny Pickett, I think, could probably start by game 6, honestly, if not sooner. Just depends on if the Steelers struggle or not. For Sam, it was more of a he gained habits because Carolina was running for their life, so he picked up a thing where he held onto the ball too long. And I mean, you saw it as the Washington in preseason. He likes to run it a lot because he feels like he has to just carry the team on his back, and that's not necessarily the case. So he has to get out of that mindset because we only had really just Josh Downs last year. Now we have a good freshman coming in for Carolina, and we got really good stud running backs that are freshmen that are really going to pick up the pace. So Carolina is in line to be a much more even kill. And now we have Drake May, the predecessor there, Luke May's younger brother, who played on the national championship team. So, but Sam he has to unlearn those bad habits that he had to pick up his senior year, and get out of that mindset that because he's got his boy Dommy Brown, he's got he's got Scary Terry, he's got the weapons, he's got the capability. It's just he has to get out of his head. I think he should do it sooner than later because I don't know how much time Wentz literally has before Wentz sees probably a backup role. I'm going to be very honest. I see Wentz decreasing where I'm seeing these other guys like Josh Allen just out of his mind, increasing like crazy,
I don't think Wentz should have a job as even right now as a starting NFL quarterback.
Even as a placeholder, though?
I think he's a good bridge. I mean, he's an okay bridge.
Yeah.
He's a good bridge, but they have a young quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
not always bad to keep him on the side. I mean, you saw Aaron Rodgers, how many years he stuck on the sideline before he went up. I don't know if that's maybe the correct way to
not working out for Jordan Love, though, is it?
No. But if Jordan Love ever gets
an actual
for us,
I'll tell you what, though. I will say this much: Jordan Love has not looked terrible in
Not
this
at all.
preseason. I think he looks like he's
What are
definitely
you
made some
watching?
improvements.
Rick's gotten
I
into
was
my
watching.
stash.
I think I mean, he's not. He's definitely not ready to take the reins from Aaron Rodgers, but
He
I don't
threw
think he's
3
looked
picks
bad.
in game 2, dude.
Oh, did he really? I didn't
Yeah.
watch game 2. There was a game. I don't remember what game
Yeah.
it was. I watched him. Who the hell was it that he was playing against? I don't know. I watched
Bay
some
Pee-wee?
highlight film of him, and he didn't look bad.
Well,
But
that's why they're called highlights.
Brandon,
Shame on me.
do you put any stock when you're doing prospecting in the college ranks into quarterback hand size? There's always that myth about the bigger the hand, the
Yeah, it's more of a draft process. I mean, there's a reason Kenny Pickett wears gloves. I'll just say that he's got to get a
got
little
smaller
stick.
hands.
He does. And then there was the whole debacle. Like if Kyler Murray's hand was like less than half of an inch less, then he was going to get not the first overall pick.
Right.
And Kyler's doing just fine. I mean,
Mhm.
he's a bit of a diva action, but he got his contract. He's going to be okay. So it's just one of those things to where it's blown up out of proportion. But in college, no, it's about system. It's about opportunity, and it's about schedule, honestly, and it's all about who's ahead of them and getting to a national championship. It is very much more of a game team mindset in the college realm versus the NFL. Literally looking like deep diving into can someone literally make a difference in the 32 teams that are drafting them. So they got to get it right. They only get it once a year, so they gotta hit. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I never really bought into it, but it was always fun to kind of keep track. For the record, Ritter, 10-inch hand size. Boy's got some paws on him.
Ritter's got a good opportunity. I think Mariota probably still keeps it for a year, maybe possibly 2, but Ritter's chomping at the bit. I think, he made a couple of weird decisions, but I think in time he's going to develop. Ritter is he's a dog, I like to call him. He's got a good fighting spirit, as you can see when he was with the Bearcats there. He just refused to let it go. So, and it got him all the way near the national championship. They just ran into a buzzsaw, but that's okay.
That buzzsaw called Alabama.
That's his other
Bama.
team.
That is the Rolling Tide. Yes.
That's my other
I'm
team, so it was
curious.
okay.
not to switch up the subject here, but I'm
No, you
curious just to kind of pick your brain a little bit.
Sure.
As far as I know, a lot of people have the question, like as far as a draft situation goes, like for your fantasy drafts, I know that it's never a good idea to just stick with, I'm going to stick with this one strategy, i.e. zero running back or hero running back or anything like that. Obviously, you want to let the draft come to you, and pivot as it comes along. However, I'm curious, is there depending on, maybe break it up into 3 different sections, whether you got like one of the earlier picks, like maybe, top 4 picks versus the middle of the pack versus, kind of the back end of the draft, like closer to the turn. Mm-hmm. Is there at least a baseline, because like obviously you only get to see everybody's first pick. That said, like without really knowing how the rest of, especially if like it's a league that you haven't played in before, where you don't really know your league mates, is there a baseline? Well, you know what? I'm going to lean this direction early on and see how the rest of the draft, like, kind of comes to me. Is there like any one of those, I don't want to say cookie cutter strategies, but is there a particular direction that you lean depending on each one of those 3 different spots, early, middle, or back end?
Are you talking about college or are you talking about the NFL as far as fantasy or
we'll
both?
say, I'm sure. Yeah, sure. Both.
Okay. We'll break it down because it's a little different in college because you have so many teams. But when you're in the first of it, you really want to look for the person that's going to put up or has the capability of being in the most prolific offense, put up the most points, stuff like that. So this year it's Ohio State. So you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's their top wide receiver. He might go for the Blendikoff. He's probably going to get a lot of eyes on him and probably be drafted as a slot guy that will play year 1 as a rookie in the NFL. And then you have his counterpart, CJ Stroud, which is a guy that if I was the Seattle Seahawks, I'd be taking a look at because he fits that mold very, very well. The guy is just, he knows how to get it done. He's precise. He knows how to move out of the pocket when he needs to. He can extend. CJ Stroud, it reminds me a lot of a more mature at this rate than what Fields was. And then I would say he's probably more of a mindset of more of like a Trevor Lawrence where he can think really quickly, but make the right decisions when he needs to and place the ball where he needs to. So he's got that going for him too. And then their running back, Trayvon Henderson, who was the freshman last year, literally took over no one expected him to start maybe until next year, maybe take a red shirt. But week one, he went off against Minnesota and dropped like 200 plus yards and just took the position. So, I mean, if you get any one of those three in the top part of your draft in CFF, which we call it for college fantasy football, CFF for short, that's kind of the strategy. Mid-tier, you're looking at usually a stronger running back. So those guys that just run a lot. So maybe like a Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, because Wisconsin running backs, right? So Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Taylor, all these guys that that are destroying it in the NFL right now. That's kind of the same man. They have this guy that literally played at the age of 17 as a freshman and almost beat out Jonathan Taylor for his record in year one. So he's an absolute unit, I like to call him, because he's just a big boy. He's that guy that's like competing against Derrick Henry and what he was able to lift in the strength conditioning stuff. So he's putting up like 500, 600 pound deadlifts, stuff like that. He's an absolute monster.
Wow.
But guys like him, you want to take the middle of the round. When you're at the end of the round, you want to look at a higher tier quarterback because you can pivot and take either a top end wide receiver or a top running back that's left on the board. Luckily, like I said, in college, you literally have probably a solid 30 teams that know how to run the ball correctly. But there's only like the highest of highs with a quarterback like a CJ Stroud, a Bryce Young. I like Williams out of USC, who transferred from Oklahoma. Caleb Williams, he's going to be a stud this year too. And then as you move into the other rounds, that's when you start taking your hits on the guys that are just now. So the big guys like for now is like Quinn Ewers, who was the big 5-star prospect, went to Ohio State for the year, took the NIL money, went to Texas. Now he has the starting job and he's supposed to light the world on fire. Of course, you have Arch Manning on his tail, so it's going to be a dogfight next year for the starting spot. But for now, if he takes him Texas, if Texas is quote unquote back, then then you have a shot where Quinn Ewers is going to probably be like a first round pick next year. And we do play dynasty in college fantasy football too. So if you take a Ewers year one early, well, now you got a guy at least for 3 years solid. And you don't have to worry about a starting quarterback for 3 years, and then you got a guy, if you are playing in the campus to Canton League, where now you got him for like 12, 13 years. So, you're set, right? So that's kind of the process thing. There. It is. That's nuts. When I first heard that you could combine the two together, when I joined these guys to kind of do their analysis for the college fantasy, it literally blew my mind that was an option.
Crazy.
So what about
imagine doing an IDP? Side? Imagine doing that as an IDP league.
We actually have to do our own. So my main lead, Jared, I'll give him a shout out. Hi, Jared. I hope you watch. So Jared, he we do mock drafts a lot, and we actually do it to where you can throw in a few dollars. So it's like almost like a best ball league, but that's how we account for our ADP. So we're actually getting where people are getting drafted in a lot of these and using it to determine. So it's like just like the NFL, you guys got like fantasy pros, which I really like. And then you have guys, the ballers and a few other guys, fantasy alarms, another one that's really out there that have their own ADP, in the college level, there's not a lot of that out there. So we have to make our own. So we're actually doing that and helping out guys like Fantrax, who does college fantasy, and kind of giving them some of the information there. So it's a partnership because we're all growing that, because the main thing is probably DraftKings and FanDuel, because people play college that way probably the most. But
right,
now you're starting to see more seasonal and dynasty in the college realm as well. So
sure,
but yeah, that's the process.
I had a question after Rick, but I also wanted to hear Rick's question about
Rick. You said NFL.
Yeah, drafting
like
strategy for the NFL.
Strictly NFL, like that same beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
Is there like a baseline strategy that you go with?
Yeah, I pound RB early. So if I'm in the front part, I'm taking JT. I probably would. CMC scares me a little bit, but I think he's as long as he's healthy, he's got the shot. If not, then you move on from him. One of my favorite ones is taking if you're fourth or fifth, take Derrick Henry. He's just solid.
Yep.
As far as the running back
Shout
position.
out, Rob.
If you're in the later ones, like middle tier, I would probably lean wide receiver. It depends on if you're a Cooper Kupp guy, a Justin Jefferson, or Jamar Chase. You can't go wrong with either of those. And then if you're in the back end, I would probably look at a guy like Travis Kelce. So then you have the premier tight end. And then if you're on the pivot, then you take the strong running back or the wide receiver, whichever one. I'm really of the mindset, just like the ballers, because they taught me it to be like water, literally just flow with the draft,
Right.
let it come to you, let the value do it. You have your cheat sheet, right? And I just highlight the ones that are there. I'm looking for tiers. So if there's a tier that's still higher, I'm not going to follow a trend. So if someone's drafting all these RBs, I'm going to pivot and go wide receiver. I'm going to take the top wide receiver over the the 6th or 7th running back. So you just got to be like water and do that. But yeah, essentially that's kind of my mindset looking at like a first round, you're going into a second round type situation.
Fair enough.
What are some of the better formats for college football? Because most of us haven't done fantasy football for college. And there's so many formats for the NFL, like, double quarterback, super flexes, the like with the individual defensive players and all that. What's like for someone who's done it for a few years, what do you think is the best format for college football?
Yeah. So when I first started, I always tell people to do something like a best ball where you just draft once. That way you're really focused on drafting, learning the players, and that way you're not having to do waivers and stuff like that. So I started with that, and then after that, someone got me into redraft, which redraft is just a seasonal for those that aren't, I'm sure all of you guys know what a redraft.
Blake and I have a redraft tomorrow.
There you go.
Sure do.
As I
Guys,
say, I got mine Sunday night
if
too.
you're watching this video, hit like. If you're watching this video, hit like. Come on now, y'all. Be smart here.
And quick shout out to Miles Hart and Keith Carver and my brother Shannon watching the show live right now, along with our good friend from last week's show, Eric Hanley.
Hit those like button, fellas. Sorry, go ahead.
You jerks.
It's all you, Brandon.
Okay. So yeah, I would say go conference. So for me, I started in ACC only because I know the Tar Heels so well. I know the rivalries of NC State, Duke, all the guys that are around here in this area. Of course, Florida State, Clemson. You watch them closely because you're looking at a conference championship every year, right? So you learn about their players, you learn about the mismatch, you learn about the defense. So I started there, and then that's when the bug catches you, and then you become a full-on DGen, and next thing you know, you're doing 131 teams. So I would say best ball, do a conference redraft, then go into regular redraft, and then I became a sycophant and became a dynasty into that one. So now there's a lot of investment. And so my other podcast is the Future Freshman podcast, where I actually look at guys coming from high school and into their freshman year.
Jeez.
And what we do is we find
wow.
Yeah, we go deep, boys. We go deep. Also giggity. Ow! Boom. But that's what we do because we want to look at talent and we want to look at opportunity to see if they fit in that type of system or what school they go to. We also look for what's called big fish, small pond. So a guy like I'll give an example. There's a kid named Matthew Golden who's coming out of Texas that's going to play for Houston University. The kid's going to be an absolute monster. And he's going to probably already play wide receiver too. And once this guy that's called Nathaniel Dell that's there now, he's a good shifty slot guy. Once he's gone, Matthew Golden's going to take the realms of Houston. And Houston's actually moving up just like Cincinnati to P5 next year. So he's going to get even more eyes on him. And who's to say he doesn't transfer, because guys like Alabama and all those guys are all constantly looking for people to transfer to get them back to the national championship. So
that kind of leads me on an interesting thought of like, how do you think the NIL stuff is going to affect, dynasty or devy kind of players? I could see somebody going to Eastern Illinois not having the opportunities, that somebody at Texas A&M or Oklahoma or Alabama or, any of the big schools.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why Texas A&M has ATM on the side of their helmets, but that's just a quick little jab. Shout out to Jimbo. But no, it's going to affect it a lot. So we already saw where Jordan Addison, the Biletnikoff winner out of Pittsburgh, he was an ACC guy, and USC, and their coach gave him almost $4 or $5 million to play 1 year as a senior in the hopes that he's getting paid more than probably most rookies are playing right now on a rookie deal. As far as the yearly, if you count it all out, not the overall, but say if you only got like a 4-year rookie contract in the NFL, that's equivalent to what he's getting in one year, essentially for USC. And now the Pac-12, and this is a whole nother thing. We'll talk about conference realignment here shortly, but it is playing a big factor in TV deals, things like that. Of course, we have the finally the NCAA games coming back, so my life will be over here.
I was literally just about to bring that up.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I've been reading about that a lot lately. How they're bringing back the NCAA games.
Yes, hopefully
video games. Rather.
Someone's trying to buy out EA, so I just hope it doesn't affect the push date because I'm already waited long enough. A lot of us are still trying to get an Xbox 360 to work just so we can play a modified version of NCAA 14. That's that's how some of us are. Just like I said, we're just sycophants. We're just degens, and we love college football. But that's where it's going. I think we're going to see a lot more of a pro type structure. Essentially the NCAA is going to become the minor leagues, just like the XFL in a sense, whereas like you're going to have these big conferences. So ACC will probably expand. The Big Ten's already expanding. SEC is going to get bigger. You're going to see where it's going to be like 4 or 5 like mega conferences. I call them what you consider an NFL divisions. And that's where you're probably going to see that, and the money's going to be there. It's going to make a much bigger divide with what we call the Power 5 schools, which are the teams like Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and then the G5 schools like a Marshall, East Carolina. Those guys that are playing in Atlantic Coast or Atlantic Conference, or the MAC, which is my favorite to watch on Tuesday nights, where there's no defense, only offense, so it's just fun to watch. Conference like those, you're just going to see a big difference in payment and as well as talent, because they're going to literally scrape every talent that they find from all the teams and put them on the larger teams. We already saw it with USC, who's trying to make a push now for a national championship by getting Caleb Williams from Oklahoma, getting Addison from Pitt to come over. All these guys are getting awards from their other teams. Exactly. Just straight cash homie, in the words of my boy Randy Moss. So
they got that cash machine out, and they're just
right. Kind of going back on this train of thought with the NCAA video games, I'm looking forward to it. And like, you're right. Like, I'm at a crossroads where absolutely, like, I hope that if EA does end up getting bought out, like, I would hate for that date to get pushed back. But man, like, a constant drum that we continuously bang on this show, or at least for me, that I continually constantly pound on, is the fact that, like, with Madden, just I've been playing Madden 23 lately. Like, the changes seem so minuscule, and there's so many things that fans loved about the older games that they've been clamoring for kill me, decades at this point. But they just like refuse to entertain it whatsoever. And I don't know how much of that is an EA thing and how much of that is truly, just an NFL, like saying, like, for example, a big thing that I harp on is I would love to have some more customizations with like relocation, or create a team back, stuff, or like dynamic fan attendance. I do know that one was a big stink on the NFL's part. I think it was like the Jaguars owner complained that, like, it appeared like the Jaguar stadium was less than full. That's because your team sucks. Like, nobody actually attends those games anyway. But it just made it more immersive.
Rick knows he was there.
It was a much more immersive experience that I think would be a welcome addition. I mean, you look at literally every other major sports franchise and video games, like, the MLB. I think on next gen consoles, MLB The Show, you can actually like create your own team with like uniforms, logos, and all this. NHL, they have it now. Soccer just recently. I'm not a soccer guy, but I know that FIFA just added a function, where you can like create your own team and stadium and all this. Not the same cookie cutter BS that they've had since, I want to say, like Madden 14 or 15, something like that. So that's just kind of my 2 cents. And I remember, like, with NCAA 14, you could create, like, I ended up creating the community college, out by right where I grew up. I played as the Grayson County College Vikings.
There you go.
And I thought that was cool. Like,
it is cool.
Why shouldn't you be able to? Why can't I create DeVry and play for the? Who cares? It's a video game.
Do it, DeVry, Grand Canyon University, all of them.
It's not supposed to be a real. This is not like it's a video game. It's an escape from reality. So I hope that when the NCAA college football video games come back, I hope that they bring back the the option to be creative with it a little bit, and don't follow the same path that Madden has, for 15 plus years now.
Yeah. Look, I'll be honest with you. I haven't bought Madden in probably 8 years. And I know like my
Yep.
boycott and my extra $60 isn't going to change the thing. Here's the thing. Ultimate Team is king. You see it because esports, you're seeing people bet on the Ultimate Team. Correct. Cash money. So then, now these, the esports guys and the teams and stuff like that, they're getting money to play these games. I'm a little nervous because they said there's going to be an Ultimate Team version for college, and I really don't care about that as long as you give me an option to where if I do not recruit correctly, then my prestige goes down. That means I can't get a hold of better recruits. That's what I want. I want depth. I want customization where I can change the sleeve, or if they have a wrist tape. That's what I care about, and I also care about now with the NIL that they have the proper name, so then I know depth chart, so then I can look at a real-time depth chart and be like, okay, I can adjust. And then if they're just getting better with the experience because you get it in practice, as long as you're doing that and you do things like you just did where you can take a team out, back then there was only like, I think 125, 126 FBS teams. Now it's 131. Say you don't want to be James Madison, you can change it to Grand Canyon University or whatever, whatever you want to pick. You still should have the option to do that. They're using the same, DeVry for sure. But so from what I hear, they're using the same system. So I miss Road to Glory because I loved picking either wide receiver, quarterback, running back, and you just I enjoyed being a high school kid and being recruited by these ones. It was a cool experience to play that game, especially NCAA. And I missed the recruiting aspect. So there's guys that we played things like the Canadian version called Maxim Football, where they actually did it college, but you had to like customize the teams because they couldn't call them the same one. So you had to find a mod to move them into there, but only because people missed the recruiting and the dynasty aspect so bad, because of that. Sure. They went to that and people got tired of it. And the same thing in Madden. They're more worried about Ultimate Team. You see, there's still the same glitches from the past 3 years that they still refuse to fix. And it's just one of those things where you're not getting my $60 unless you make it a yearly subscription, and then I'll think about it. But I'm not paying for the same game $60 to $70, especially with the new console every single year.
Right.
Sorry, but they can kiss my butt. It's like I have other ways of cheering for the Broncos without supporting them by paying for Madden. That's just my take. So.
Yeah, my brother says, for you Missouri folks, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Rolla, where they have the UMR, University of Missouri Rolla, the smaller, kind of sister school, if you will.
Okay.
So he can make the Rolla Miners is who he intends to create if they bring customization back to NCAA football.
Oh, Ozark Gym.
So who here's all Missouri guys? Is it all you get?
So it's just me. I'm the St. Louis guy.
Well, so
Illinois.
I'm originally from St. Louis. You can see all this St. Louis stuff. I'm in the military. I'm stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. But I'm originally from St. Louis.
Okay. So I was just going to point out, Missouri has a really great freshman. His name is Luther Burden III. We just call him LB3, but he's one of the highest recruits that Missouri has ever seen. 5-star, and in spring game he's being used like Debo Samuel. So people need to pay big attention to Luther Burden. I don't care if it's Brady Cook starting or the new freshman, they call him Sam Horn, the kid that was possibly going to go play baseball, but he decided not to. So that's a good sign that he's there to stay. When you have two good recruits like that, especially Luther Burden, as long as he stays at Missouri, there's a good shot Missouri is going to make a change. But there is the fear that if the kid goes off, he is a prime candidate. That's someone that like an Alabama or Clemson that would probably want to take a look at him type situation. So as long as he stays, go for it.
My wife's family, in-laws, they're a bunch of Mizzou fans.
Okay.
And I can freely talk shit at these things because Mizzou is no good. Are you saying I'm gonna have to not be able to talk shit? I'm gonna have to.
I'm not saying they're not gonna lose. I'm just saying that they're gonna score points this time, and not by just a running back that's now got drafted to the 7th round by Baltimore and will be used sparingly, right? So I love Tyler Beatty. Missouri's produced some good running backs, but they finally have a wide receiver to where if you have a somewhat competent quarterback, this kid's going to easily drop 800 yards a game, if not anything, and it might be all purpose. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to find the end zone. The kid's an absolute monster. Will he stay at Missouri? That's the catch. He is
Probably
a hometown
not.
kid. He's a hometown kid, so he did choose them over guys like Alabama that recruited him, Georgia recruited him, of course, all the national championship. Cincinnati recruited him. There was a bunch of the guys that went after him. My Tar Heels tried to, and he shut them down very quickly just because we're not at the prestige, right? So, it is what it is.
I'd be okay with it. mind you, I'm just now kind of getting back into college football. I was a lot bigger into it whenever I was in high school, but
Oh yeah.
I'd be okay with Missouri doing well. I mean, I have family that are alumni there, so I'm kind of glad to hear all these things.
I'm just saying they're going to.
I'm an
less,
Illinois fan,
So.
so I don't want them to do well.
That's fair.
Hey,
That's
Illinois
very
plays
fair.
this. Illinois plays tomorrow, I believe. So,
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited.
Ooh.
There's a kid,
Nice.
Chase Brown. He's a really good running back. I also
Mhm.
like Isaiah Williams, the wide receiver. He's a very good gadget player. So Illinois got some good pieces too.
It's it'll be interesting to see how they operate in the next couple of years with Belema there, and having somebody that has coached at a somewhat larger football school. Illinois, for as long as I've been alive, has been mostly a basketball school. There was a few in the 80s they went to the Rose Bowl a few times, and but yeah, it'll be he wasn't my first choice, but it'd be interesting to see if he can turn this into a respectable program.
Yeah, they're decent. You remember the 05 one, Illinois and Carolina, in the basketball that they played against each other? That was phenomenal
Yes,
basketball.
it was.
That was really, really good stuff. But no, Illinois, they've always been that sneaky team. You saw what they did with 7 overtimes against Penn State.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah, I didn't stay up for that one. I had enough after like 7 overtimes. I was like, whatever happens, happens. I'm out. On to the next game, So, but Illinois is, they are the fighting Illinois, and they do put up a decent fight. So, I mean, I think they're just going to increasingly get better with a better coach that has a good head on their shoulders. So.
Yep, I'm a hopeful. It'll be nice to see. I know like they're a really good baseball team as well, but I don't know. Is there any baseball, leagues like your football league?
You talking about like baseball, like you're talking about like what, college to the pros level type situation?
College to Cooperstown.
Ooh. So you're talking about campus to Cooperstown. Okay,
Campus
gotcha.
campus to
It's
Cooperstown.
still called C2C. So I mean, who's to say we won't expand?
Don't steal that. That's mine. Or if you do steal it, come in.
I'll make sure I'll throw you like $20. Like, hey man, don't trademark this. All right, let us do this. But,
TM.
Yeah, TM. But people should. If we don't, eventually we might expand. We're all football fanatics, so I mean, football's our main thing. But who's to say? Basketball would be a good one because they actually do play college fantasy hoops. I just don't play because I have too much invested in my Tar Heels, especially in basketball. It's just too intense already. I can't have people scoring points and stuff and worrying about the opposite team trying to score, especially with that Duke Final Four game. If I had any of the players' fantasy points, I probably would have lost it. So
that's
just one of those
why
things,
I don't play fantasy baseball. Because I'd end up being the biggest Cubs homer. Just
I'm a Braves guy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a Braves guy. So
the speaking of college baseball, I don't know if they're still this way, but the little community college that I went to in Texas before I joined the military, they were like the junior college World Series champions, back to several years in a row. So that was kind of cool. And then tomorrow, not baseball related, but just on the subject of football, I'm actually pretty excited. My wife and I are actually going to be going to the Florida State Seminoles home opener against Duquesne. So that's sweet.
Yes, I have a few players in DFS I'm looking forward that I think Jordan Travis will have a good game. I also like Ward between the two running backs. I like that. Mm-hmm. And I do like Micah Pittman coming from Oregon to Florida State. I think that helps Travis out quite a bit. I think Florida State's going to be a little bit more confident this year, so it'll be a good time.
It's not going to be Duquesne by 10.
I could see Jordan Travis taking it. I could see him taking a step forward. Last year he was kind of shaky, and obviously he had some health issues and stuff like that. But he's been kind of hit or miss for us.
Yeah. Did you guys see the news about how Florida A&M almost didn't travel to UNC, and they just got off the plane maybe a few hours ago? They almost boycotted apparently their university, Florida A&M, we call them FAMU, because that's a cool thing to say. But apparently their college isn't their admin isn't all put together, and they didn't realize that I think 20 of their players were ineligible because of grades or whatever.
Wow.
So they almost didn't have enough players to have a full O-line, but apparently they worked something out where it's hey, get your grades up by this point and you can do it. I'm you do realize college just started up. How did you guys not know this before? Yeah. You had them on the schedule for a full year, but then all of a sudden you get them on the bus heading to the thing oh, half these guys can't play. I was like, your academia
Yeah.
people need to talk to the recruits and stuff. I was like, that's a little sus. So now the whole town of Chapel Hill is extremely furious because we almost didn't have a game and tailgates were almost canceled. So now poor FAMU is going to roll up in there tomorrow afternoon and they're just going to get destroyed by Carolina because they're going to be mad.
But I have a solution. If these guys are ineligible to play, fine, so be it. That's where they should be able to call up players from Bishop Sycamore.
Yes. BSU, baby. A legit college.
A real, actual college.
I really hope they do a full documentary on this guy. So
they have to.
Wasn't that like a high school, a quote unquote high school?
Yeah, it was I forget the name. It's Bishop Gorman is the high school. They're actually good because they have really good prospects. They're a California team. I think Snoop Dogg's kid went to that school. But Bishop Sycamore is almost like they branched off into like, okay, now they can just move them over to college. So they just showed up out of nowhere. They're like it's like South Institute of Technology, just like accepted. Like you just, they're the shit sandwiches. It is what it is. So,
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm thinking about calling one of my teams at NCAA football, the South Harmon Institute of Technology, and just play them as the sandwiches and find a cool logo.
Funny.
Yeah, there you go.
But something like that. That's crazy, right?
Shit. Oh, that's great. Well, Brandon, we appreciate you so much for coming on tonight. Appreciate you filling us, and I'm mind blown that there are leagues out there that you can play from campus to Canton. Like, mind blown. I mean, I figured there was college fantasy, but geez Louise.
Didn't know there was like a kind of a cross meshing world so where you could play from both. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so please check us out, campus2canton.com. And then, of course, if you have any questions at CFF University, the DMs are always open. I'll be busy setting lineups in the morning, but I'll be free watching football the rest of the afternoon. So if you got questions, hit me up.
Good deal.
All right. We appreciate you so much, Brandon. Hit him up, guys. Thanks, Brandon. We'll see you next time, my friend.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Think about, like, all right. What?
Blake is broken. His brain is broken. I thought you were like.
No, I'm not lagging. I'm just holy fuck.
His brain is
brain is catching up.
Like I felt confident about our draft tomorrow, and now I feel like I don't have any of my shit together.
Oh, I do. You're gonna.
I don't have my shit together. I did like 2 mock drafts.
God, I can't wait for Tuesday.
Dan doesn't even know what time the draft is on Sunday.
I can't wait for Tuesday just so I can roast Blake's team on air.
Don't let Jason fool you, though. That whole thing about him saying that our league moved over to Yahoo is bullshit. It's on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, sorry, Dan. Don't listen to Jason.
No, I totally didn't buy that. I was busy doing other stuff to give shit back, but I would take anything he says with an entire shaker of salt.
Shake it like a salt.
Shake it like a salt shaker. Hey. And I wasn't even lagging for that. We caught right on that time.
Damn.
So tomorrow I'm getting up. Oh, Geno Smith getting the start in Seattle, boys. It is named.
Yeah,
Week
it's
1.
Unfortunate. I think. Yeah, and I think like the whole thing behind it was, he obviously knew the playbook better than Drew Lock. And of course, Drew Lock caught the Rona there. Wasn't able to really get much playing time outside of.
So you're saying that
tonight.
Because Drew Lock caught coronavirus, he cannot be an NFL quarterback?
No. I'm saying like he has not gotten, or at least according to Pete Carroll, he hasn't had enough a chance to like really be exposed to the system and like work in a live game, under that playbook and whatnot. So Geno already knows the playbook. He already knows the system. He somewhat has chemistry with the receivers.
I didn't see it.
Oh, and check this out.
Danny's like, what fucking chemistry?
Yeah.
Well,
all Geno knows how to do is run around and get sacked.
Words. These are not my words. But right as I sit here and speak, Jason LaRoche is commenting right now saying that he is trying to save you. We're trying to trick you. That is not true. Our draft is Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. Central Time on the ESPN app, Jason. I know you've been drinking these, buddy.
The fuck is
But
that? Oh, it's Mountain
Mountain
Dew
Dew, baby.
Hard
With
Mountain
a-
Dew.
with a bear badger. No.
I'm not sure what the hell it is. But the black cherry is delicious, I have to
Yeah.
say.
Like
Told
cough
you,
syrup.
wasn't lying. So tomorrow I'll be heading up to Springfield because when I go to Springfield, I actually make an attempt to see my friends. So I'll be seeing Ryan and our buddy Keith.
I made an attempt once.
Unlike
Not my
when they go
Springfield.
to-
no,
Yeah, not your
the only
Springfield, Dan,
good
I'm
one.
sorry.
It's never my Springfield.
I
Wait
got
up for you guys.
the Lincoln Springfield.
Coming over. I heard you guys
And then
come
we
to
got that
Springfield. I
draft
waited up all night.
tomorrow. Bears and Browns play on Saturday night.
Yes.
And then we got the no pun intended football league draft on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go Light Lizards.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
a great weekend. Last
Oh,
weekend
wait, is he gonna do it?
fantasy before we head into what are you doing?
Oh, he's gonna do it.
Oh
Continue.
shit.
The leather
Oh,
daddies.
shit. Oh,
Hard to wear
shit.
this when I got my microphone on. Oh, here.
So for those of you, that
You
don't
look
know,
like you're
There we go.
about to like monologue to Batman.
So for those of you that don't know, Danny in our fantasy
we go.
football league, the league that me, Blake, and Danny are in, Danny's team name is the Constipated Leather Daddies.
You need a hat,
Yeah.
like
And
the
so-
dude from. No, not a hat, like a leather hat, like a leather
Nah,
daddy
we're
No,
doing
you
this
hat.
should have seen.
You need a
you
Rob
should've seen some-
Halford hat.
You should have seen. It was unfortunate. Unfortunately, it didn't work out like during the Powerball lottery. But Danny, the year prior, last year's Powerball lottery, he was in full like gimp garb, had like like a chest strap and stuff
That
like that.
he
and his-
bought
he had a-
especially for your
Yeah.
draft.
Dude, it was like
He
20
had, like-
bucks on Amazon. I was like, oh, all right.
Oh, I
So
guess I
shopping
could
cart.
use a backup.
Yeah.
My brother says
Yeah,
that
the
you
other
need
one's
a
getting
leather
sticky.
fedora, by the way.
A leather fedora. Oh, man.
Yeah.
This
But no,
show
he
is
had-
getting out of fucking
He had
control.
a whip and everything, and he was like whipping himself like that, and just it was great. It was but no, the Leather Daddies, and he has like an online like football themed sex shop called Total Fallacy and More with products such as the Ben Roethlis plugger.
Gross.
So that league
God,
is
how
out
many
of
of those
control.
did we have? Yeah, we had like a couple different lines. We had the XFL line. We had we had like a fall line for the NFL, and then the first line we came out. I can't remember. It's gotten out of hand.
All the
I'm
memes
gonna
have
use
just
this
gotten
picture
ridiculous.
of Danny for the fucking website. I swear to God, this is the fucking website photo.
Oh
There you go.
Jesus.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're back on Tuesday. We can talk about some giraffes that finished. Talk about some NFL that wrapped up. Week 3 preseason before we head into.
Tuesday is actually the cut deadline too for teams to
Oh, it
get down from
is.
80 to 53. So
Mhm.
there's going to be some probably
Big.
some wild news, some surprises, and then also maybe some trades and signings.
Oh shit.
So-
All right, we'll be back on Tuesday, guys. If you're watching, make sure you hit the subscribe and notification button so you know when we go live. Hit the like, be a friend, tell a friend. As always, Danny, that's fucking terrifying staring back
Yeah.
at me. I'm gonna be honest. Because it's frozen, so it literally looks like the Riddler from fucking Batman is
Yeah.
just chilling on the pod show.
think they'll
I
watch
love
when
it.
they sleep. Oh, wait, we
I
just keep adding
appreciate
on to
you
this.
guys. Back on Tuesday. We are out. See y'all.
See ya.
All right, take care, guys.
Peace.